I feel like alone sometimes when it's muted. Anyways, thank you guys all for being here. I'm Kathleen McNary with the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for joining us for our LinkedIn master, Alexandra, who's going to be teaching us today. She's the expert, not on LinkedIn, but not just on LinkedIn, I mean, but several different, especially social platforms and a lot more. And she was available to do this, and we're so excited and super grateful. She knows more about what to say for what this event is and how we're going to be learning. So I am going to introduce you, Alex, and get you to unmute.
I have been unmuted.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. As she said, I'm Alexandra Renée Poelstra. I am the Maven of All Maven Enterprise. We used to be All Maven Agency, and we are now in a position of transition and expanding. And so my background is in everything digital media, advertising, marketing, business development. I'm an ADHDer, so I tap into a little bit of everything, which is one of the reasons I'm here, because I love all of the social networks for their particular reasons. And I'm a big fan of LinkedIn and have made really great use of it for a lot of different reasons. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give you a little bit of an overview of what we're doing today and what to expect, and keep this train moving. Let me see, do I got my timer going? Because I'll talk forever if I don't have my timer going. Okay, good. I got my timer going. Well, anybody who can't see my screen? No? Good. Okay, awesome. All right, so on our journey today, so we're going to talk a little bit what's on everybody's mind. We're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and its background. We're going to talk about maximizing it, tips to make it all work. Of course, question and answers, because we're going to have questions and answers, right, for those things, and prizes. So as it says on it, y'all better stay till the end, okay? Because I like to give out prizes, okay? If you have questions, just use the chat and I will answer them live. I love a lot of interaction. That's really important to me, so that you're engaged. And so, I'm going to give a short presentation. Okay. Then we're actually going to go into LinkedIn, and then we will get to more specific questions. So when Kathleen said, hey, there's a lot of people want to know about LinkedIn, there's a lot of different avenues on LinkedIn, or things that we could be teaching on, right? It could, one facet could just be, how do I make a great profile? Another could be, how do I max my profile to look for a job? Some of it might be, how do I do recruiting? How do I hire? How do I get connected with some people, right? So the LinkedIn could literally be broken down into like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of workshops. So I'm going to be covering a little bit of everything, but I'm going to leave try to leave a large block of time so that I can actually address each person's very specific question. So if you want to get the most out of this workshop, be thinking about, what is it that I want I want to know from this workshop, from this presentation, that could specifically benefit me, right? Because general stuff will help us to an extent, but specifics are really valuable. So we have allotted time for that. So whatever your questions may be, please keep those handy. So the first thing I want to know, and if you guys could share with me in the chat, is what do you want to know about LinkedIn? And why do you want to utilize it? I'd love to just hear kind of this general, everybody's kind of general thoughts, general feelings about LinkedIn. There was a lot of interest about it. If you guys just want to share, anybody want to share just in the comments, one or two things where you're like, hey, this is what I want to learn. This is what I'm interested in about LinkedIn. Let me pull this window up here. Everyone raves about it, but I find it annoying. Yeah, I'm not much about raving about really anything in general, unless it's food, because I can do that really, really well. I've heard that what is under your name on the profile is the most important. What to do about adding new sub companies? That is a great question, considering that is definitely in my field of view. Right? I've been active for the last 3 years, did a social media campaign, seems great for salespeople, how to represent your business to get views and engagement, more to connect with potential customers, etiquette. Ooh, these are great. This is great stuff, guys. All stuff I can answer and get real specific on. So that's good. Best use, interested in identifying potential corporate connections because you're moving, right? Best way to search and segment. Okay, so I am going to come back. I'm going to save this little chat section right here, And then I will actually come back and address each one of those because I have an answer for all of those. So those are really, really great reasons. And as you can see from the chat, a variety of reasons, right? So we'll try to do that as best we can in this short period of time, with what we have. All right. So it's pretty easy to see that LinkedIn has got a lot of great value, right? Showcase your skills, your history, your experience, recommendations. Recruiters and hiring managers are using it and they're checking it, right? It has a great job board, job seeker resources, great hiring resources, and it's also a great way to network and find where some of the best work is floating around. And then candidates on LinkedIn also tend to be of higher caliber as they're focused on really creating that professional presence, right? Not everybody is adapted to LinkedIn, right? So whether you're on LinkedIn looking for work, or if you're on LinkedIn trying to build connections, right? It has a lot of value in terms of the caliber of people. If anybody is here is looking for work, can you give me a 1 in the chat? Like if you're looking to expand maybe new career opportunities, throw 1 in the chat right now to see if that's anybody that you're looking for. And if you're like, hey, my employer's on this workshop with me, I can't do that. I totally get that, right? But is there anybody here who's specifically looking for work or is envisioning in their career path, updates for it? Can you just throw number 1 in the chat for me? Anyone? Nobody's looking for a job? Nobody needs work? Everybody's business. Okay, good. Somebody's looking for work, right? How many people if you're looking to hire people, put a 2 in the chat. How many people are looking to hire people? If you want to add more people to your company, actual employees. Okay. All right. Okay. More people looking to hire people. Okay. That's good. That's good. Some, hopefully more soon. Okay. For people who are maybe business owners, networkers, put a 3 in the chat if you're looking to build some very specific or strategic or relationships to advance your company goals. Throw a 3 in the chat. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So now I see a little bit where you're at. So that helps me to gauge more about what we want to look for. Okay. So again, we've got things in here that'll cover employers and employees, right? But also building those connections. A lot of these things are going to cross over in the same space. So I'm happy to be sharing that with you and how these are connected, right? Because, if you want to build great connections or seek great work, LinkedIn is a fantastic place to do it. But before you get started, you have to look at what you're looking to accomplish, which is why I asked you those three particular questions. Are you looking for work? Are you looking to hire? Or are you looking to build connections? Because your strategy is going to change based on what you're trying to do and how you want to use LinkedIn. An employee is not going to use LinkedIn the same way as an employer or someone like me who's not necessarily looking to hire directly through LinkedIn, maybe looking to build more corporate partnerships. We are doing some hiring, right? But there's more than one way to hire, and LinkedIn is part of that strategy and other things part of that strategy, right? So that's the first thing you need to consider is, how am I on LinkedIn and what exactly am I trying to do and what am I trying to accomplish? Because everything you should do should be tailored to that, right? So after you've understood your mission, then you can move on and see what's important and why you want to do what it is you do. All right. All good. Can I get a thumbs up? Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Good. Right. Okay. So where do you start? Whether you are hiring, looking for work, or building a connection, the first place everybody's got to stop is the profile. Okay. You got to make that profile pop, whether you're a candidate, an employer, or looking to build connections. If you're a candidate, you want to look attractive enough for people to get hired. If you're an employer, right, because candidates are looking up your business and your company and your organization, right? So you want to make sure that you are also very, very attractive as an employer or as a person to do business with, right? Because it doesn't matter where you are in that spectrum. The main crux of LinkedIn is the profile. That is the main component of the software itself. And that's the piece that you want to make sure works the best. Yes, it's got the social feeds and all the tools and all the resources and all that other kind of good stuff, right? But the profile is the heart of LinkedIn. That is what it is built around. So you have to make that profile pop, okay? So how do you do that, right? One is LinkedIn bio should be written in a way that attracts who you want to engage. So if you are writing a bio, if you're a candidate, right, that bio is going to be written a little bit differently than if you're someone like me who's maybe looking to attract interesting people to engage with on a corporate level, right? So when you think about your bio, because that's pretty much one of the number one questions, how do I write a good bio? Somebody said, write it like this. Somebody said, write it like this. There's not necessarily right or wrong ways to write your LinkedIn bio. So you're going to come up on a lot of people who are like, I'm a LinkedIn strategist. I'll help you maximize your profile. And those things are great. And there are people that you can hire and that will do a great job for you on writing a great bio, right? But your bio is really going to be dependent on what you are trying to accomplish. So a good example is if you're an employer and you're looking to hire people, in your bio, value should be an important thing that's included, because people want to know, is this a person I want to work for, right? What are their values? How do they feel about certain things? If you're a candidate, you don't necessarily care about what they've accomplished. That's not really important to you, right? You want to know what kind of company they run, because you're going to be looking at the people that work at that company. You're going to be going through all the connections in that company. You're going to potentially be going to those company profile pages and their sub pages, right? So your content on your profiles, and that includes your company pages, and we'll hop into those too, is dependent on who you're trying to engage, okay? So that's the most important thing. Write your profile for your audience, okay? Upload your resume or include a link to your resume. So if you're a candidate, that's LinkedIn actually is a feature that you can do that. If you're not looking for work, I'm not looking for work. I own a business, right? Include references to work projects or things that you do that allow people to engage with you. So those are a couple of the things that are underutilized on LinkedIn that people can really maximize to see what it is you're working on. LinkedIn has places where you can post articles, where you can post work, where you can post projects. These are all things that you can utilize on LinkedIn that can really help you be attractive to another corporate executive, a partner, or a candidate, right? So utilize those features to upload and show what you're working with, okay? And then your taglines, like somebody else said, I've heard it's important that what's underneath your tagline is more important than other stuff, right? Yes and no. Yes, because when someone clicks on your profile, just like in Google search, right? Most people, they see the top 3 search results, or when you're on a website, you see what we call above the fold, right? So when you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, the very first thing you're going to see is a name and a photo and a tagline. That's why that tagline is so critically important, because it is the first thing that people are going to see. That's your first opportunity to make an impression, right? So again, just like your bio, your tagline should showcase what you want to share with your audience. What do you want to tell people? What do you want people to know, right? It is a professional network, so you do want to be professional, right? Your Twitter taglines usually are not going to be the same as your LinkedIn headlines, right? Twitter taglines can be a little bit more fun, a little bit more playful. You don't even necessarily have to list what it is you do on Twitter. You could be the CEO of Zoom, and you don't have to list anything about Zoom. You could just say guy who likes to walk dogs in park. I don't know what's on Eric's Zoom tagline. That's the CEO of Zoom. I don't know what's on his tagline. I'll probably go back and look at that later, right? But depending on the social network, the taglines will change, right? So what is it that you want to showcase to people? What is it that you're trying to attract? What do you want people to know about your organization or what it is you're doing? A key thing to note is LinkedIn's algorithm does in fact search your tagline. So if you are an executive looking to connect with another executive, right? LinkedIn is utilizing all of the keywords that are in your tagline and showing different connections and building different connections with people, or matching people based on keywords. And also people can search based on keywords, right? So if you're looking for other CEOs in a particular industry, it's probably a good idea that you have CEO in your tagline, right? If that's who you're looking to connect with, or if you represent a particular profession or industry, right? That's important to include. If you work in the nonprofit realm, right? And you want to connect with other nonprofit organizations, having the nonprofit keyword in your tagline can be very useful and helpful. Does that all make sense to everybody? Can I get a thumbs up if it makes sense? Awesome. Does anybody have any quick questions about questions about that. Awesome. It is, I know, like you said, Kathleen, it is a bit quiet in here. How many people do we have on right now? Do we have a decent amount where we could potentially give people the ability to, everybody to stay mute, but the ability to unmute in case they want to verbalize a question?
We have 25
on.
Okay, good. Yeah. And sometimes it's just a little bit easier if you can just unmute versus typing in the chat. So if you have a question, there's a little icon under the reactions where you can click raise hand, and then I will call on you and you can unmute yourself and ask a question that way. So before I move on, does anybody have any additional questions on that particular tagline issue? For the person who asked that particular question, did I answer that for you? Kathleen, okay, good. They went up pretty fast, so I didn't see who asked the question.
Exactly what I was wondering, because I had told something and I'm like, wait, is it your job title? But then other people have like a sentence on there or a bunch of like the stars and exclamation points, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? But yeah, that helps a lot to know like keywords, and it's really also thinking that what people would be searching for to look for you that you want to connect with.
Exactly. And I saw Keisha raise her hand. You have a question, Keisha, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi. I'm looking at my profile right now on LinkedIn. And so when you're saying the tagline, you mean literally put your tagline in at the top?
It's that little top, little subline that appears underneath your name.
Okay.
And you usually I forget the exact character limit, but it's something close. It's somewhere on like 160 characters or something like that.
Okay.
And it's where I've typically seen people just put their job title, like myself. I think I just have my job title there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my particular title, it says Christ Wear Mama, intellectual creative, tech lover, CEO, and executive of things, the Maven, Carlsbad to Colorado Springs. Right. So the reason why mine is structured that way is to showcase, one, who I am, two, that I am a CEO, right? Because that's an important thing for me, that people right off the bat know that I am a business owner. So I have that keyword in there, right? But I do a lot of other stuff, which is why I say executive of things. Also tells people I have a sense of humor, right? I didn't say executive of blah, blah, I say executive of things. Sometimes I say executive of important stuff, right? I like to let people know that I like to have a good time. So that is a way to showcase my personality a little bit. I love God. Jesus is my homie, right? That's important to me because when I'm out doing specific like ministry or church work, it makes it very easy for me to identify and work with those organizations and pull contracts with those organizations, right? I'm a tech person, right? So if I'm reaching for tech people, that's really helpful. And having those diverse keywords literally gets me kind of in the realm and scope of the people that I want to be in. So a lot of the people that reach out to me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy with the majority of those types of connections based on like how they would be related to me or my profile and so on and so forth. All right, so that's great. Great question. Let's keep it moving, right? Okay, so a lot of people ask, they say, especially for the bio, they say, Alex, that's great. I understand I should write a tailored bio to my audience, but I'm not a good writer, right? I want to say, it's okay. It's okay. You do not have to be a good writer. You don't have to be the greatest writer to write a really effective bio, right? And bios, again, they're tailored to your audience and what you want to know. So there's a very easy process to really think about your LinkedIn bio. One, state the most important thing you want people to know about you. Make sure that's in the bio, right? The most important, if people are only going to go to the first couple lines, what is the most important thing that you want them to know, right? What are you trying to accomplish or showcase additionally in your bio that you want, again, for the people who tailor to your audience, what do you want them to know, right? Okay. Last thing that you can include is what you're looking to do in the future, what your vision is for the future, right? So if you're a candidate, right, I'm hoping to connect on a greater scale to do X. Right? Or if you're an employer, I'm really looking forward to bringing amazing people to continue our mission on X, right? Or if you're looking to build corporate connections, right? I'm really looking forward to connecting with other execs to further, X in this area or industry, right? That is a 3-step templated way to write a LinkedIn profile if you are not someone who knows how to write anything, right? There are 1,000 different ways to write a LinkedIn profile. And again, there you'll find experts who say, don't write it like that. And then other ones will say, no, write it like this. Or say, no, Alex, that's not how people are going to maximize such and such, right? Baby steps, right? There's a starting place for everybody. Some of that can just be too overwhelming. So I like to give people a good place to start. If they are like, I don't know where to start, I'm like, just start there, because that's something you can get done in 10 to 15 minutes and it will be professional, right? Another couple quick tips. Write your bio out in Google Docs or Word and then proof it before pasting it in. So a lot of people update their LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn page, right? Internet connection goes out or it dies or you forget what it is you say, right? Then it's on there and that's the only place it exists, or if there becomes an issue, right? So have a copy of your bio someplace else that you can easily access it. One, because most people, you'll need your bio on more than one occasion. If you're speaking or if you're teaching a workshop, right? And somebody says, I need your bio, I often will pull tidbits from my LinkedIn bio, but I don't have to go to LinkedIn to get it. I've got it nicely saved in Google Docs, right? So save it in Google Docs, use tools like Grammarly to proof it, ensure it's fine-tuned, right? And then you can ask a couple people to look it over for you and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or how does it make you feel? And you can go from there. Okay. Another thing, let your voice come out in your bio. You don't have to sound like a robot. Nobody wants to work with robots unless you're in the business of working with robots and AI, which is totally fine, right? The best employers really want people who stand out. So if a little bit of your voice and your personality can come through on your LinkedIn profile, that's a fabulous thing. Okay. Awesome. Photos, say cheese. That's a good one. I say cheese, right? Your LinkedIn photo should be high resolution, clear, and clearly display your face separated from your background. So a lot of things, one of the cringeworthy things I see on LinkedIn is the profile photos. It tends to be difficult to look at some of them because they're like, some of them you can tell they're like cropped out of somebody's picture because they didn't have a picture, right? Some of them are really grainy, right? So you want to just make sure you have a clear, high resolution photo where your face is separate from your background. So you can take it outside. You can even take it in your bedroom. You just want to make sure that your face is super easy to display and that you can clearly see it. How many of you in the chat are satisfied with your LinkedIn photo, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you're like, I love my LinkedIn photo. It's great. And that's the, okay. Got a couple people. Good. Anybody who's experiencing a challenge with getting a nice photo or feel like, hey, I don't know, I don't know. Okay, Kathleen, you're really easy, Kathleen. You're at the chamber. Step out right in front of that chamber sign, sit on top of it, and have Brett take his phone and snap his photo with you. Do it around 4-ish to get magic lighting. So it's nice and clear and your face is evenly lit without having too heavy shadows. And then I run it through a beauty app and then make it pretty. I mean, everybody's LinkedIn photos they as long as they look professional, they're fine. But like me personally, like I don't wear like a lot of makeup. So I Photoshop my makeup on sometimes. I put some lip gloss on and some, what is that? I said mascara. Yeah, I put some of that on for a lot of stuff. But for the most of the time, I'm like, I will snap a photo and then I'll doll it up. Or I won't, right? It just kind of depends on what your preference is. But there's plenty of ways to get a profile photo. And if you don't have one, find a person with a smartphone and have them take a picture for you, right? Because this should be a really, really easy thing to get done. And it helps, again, people show where you are. In terms of your clothes, keep your clothes on point, on brand, or just straight professional. When I say on point, I mean if you are a person with a lot of personality, right? Let your clothes can match your identity and your profile, right? That's totally fine. Or if you represent a certain brand and a certain look, right? You can utilize that. So if you're looking to create a certain brand or certain image, right? You can even change your profile photo background to showcase something that's more fun. I have a lot of profile pictures with me and I don't have a standard background. I have a graphic that I created that's like colorful with leaves and stuff, right? So I created a branded photo. All right. And if anything, just keep it straight professional. Blouse, collared shirt, jacket, You know, something that just says, I'm not, you know, too much of a weirdo, or I'm a person you might be okay interacting and engaging with, okay? And then again, there's not a right or wrong attire. It's just, again, what do you want to showcase? Don't be afraid to get creative with your LinkedIn photos, because that's another place where you can, again, showcase the type of person that you are. Use LinkedIn photo frames to show you are hiring or looking for work. So if you're looking for work, LinkedIn has what's called frames. If you click on your picture, okay, so if you click on your picture, you can find a place, it'll pop up on your screen. I'll show you where it is, where you can what's called add a frame. And it's called like hiring or open to connecting. So if you're an employer and you're looking to hire, add that to your LinkedIn profile, right? So if people know that you're looking for work, that gives your connections the availability to say, oh, hey, you know, I have a friend that might be perfect for you, or I know someone who might be perfect for you, or candidates who are on there searching know that you are hiring and can actually apply, right? Knowing if you're hiring is half the battle. If you do not necessarily have a section on your website dedicated to applications or hiring, or you're not utilizing a lot of other hiring places, at least just having a frame is a great little way to let people know you're open to hiring, open to connecting and whatnot. And same thing for candidates, right? So that's a really, really great thing to utilize. Any questions about frames? LinkedIn right now is like they have 2, and sometimes they will update them, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Awesome. Okay. The other thing is you want to utilize the company descriptions, right? So as an example, you want to show what when you're job hunting or wanting to connect, showcase what you accomplished and not what, you know, just not what you do. So here's as an example, provided customer support to VIP clients. Okay. So if you're a candidate, don't do that, right? That's super boring. Blah, blah, blah. We've all seen that before, right? Do a little show and tell, and be specific. Addressed over 50 support issues a week for VIP clients and received the highest marks for customer satisfaction in my department 3 quarters in a row. Right? That looks much better for an employer than provided, you know, VIP support to people, right? So in your descriptions, it's really important when you're listing your experience to really utilize that to tell a story about what it is you're doing. If you are looking to connect with people corporate-wise, same thing. What are you accomplished? What are you working on? What are the benefits and outcome? What are you moving towards with your organization? So again, employer or employee, these company descriptions are really, really important in order to show people who you are and how to attract who you are. Those are good things. As I say time and again, right? Tailor it to your audience. Everything about LinkedIn is tailored to your audience, right? You do that, and then you will get the best results. People will clap for you. People will be happy about that. Good. Questions on profile descriptions, experiences, all that other kind of good stuff. Yep. Okay, good. All right. So let's move on. So main thing of the profile, and again, we're going to hop into LinkedIn. So I don't want to spend too much time on the presentation. I said short, so I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. All right. So moving on from that, after you've basically got the meat of your profile, you got a great photo, you got a great tagline, right? You listed your experience, you really maximize the little sections under the experience, and you've done all you need to all you need to do, I can talk today, right? In your LinkedIn profile. And just looking nice, looking fresh, you're feeling good about meeting that next CEO or finding that next candidate, okay? You want to build connections, okay? All right, that's why we're on LinkedIn. Like you're literally on there to connect with people. There's literally no other reason to be on there other than to connect, whether it be connecting with employers or employees or corporate. So focus on building those connections. Because people are great connectors. Above all, if you've got a very large network, that is a lot more helpful to you than having a smaller network, right? More connections equals greater access, whether that's corporate executives, whether that's employees, whether that's access to more employers if you're looking for work, right? So you need to strategically focus on building more connections. Connections can help you find work, great people, and expand your network, right? Work on connecting on a regular basis. You should be connecting with a few people every week on LinkedIn to advance your goals. If that is, you know, if you're particular, like I really want to utilize LinkedIn to meet those people or meet connections and whatnot, then you need to be connecting with a few different people in a week. few different people a week. Ask for recommendations, right? Either as an employer, as an employee, right? Another underutilized feature. I don't even use it that much, right? In terms of asking for recommendations, but it is another feature that is really helpful. And building connections is being a person that's also highly recommended, right? If you're trying to connect with another company that you're looking forward to partnering with your organization, right? And that person goes to your profile to see what kind of person you are, and they see that you've got a ton of recommendations, that you're awesome, right? That goes a long way. That can help you. So ask for recommendations. Work on saying, hey, would you recommend me for this? Add those little keywords to your profile. And don't be afraid to ask your connections for resources. So if you're looking to connect with a particular individual, utilize your network. I don't see people doing this enough, not just on LinkedIn, but on social media networks in general. People don't go to their network and ask them to help them. I mean, the whole point of having a network is for people to help lift each other up, right? We're really good at doing that at the chamber. It's like making that referral, or, you know, recommending that person, right? So don't be afraid to ask your connections for your resources. We had a great example of this last week. Well, I mean, there's tons of examples with this particular organization, but I'm part of the Parentpreneur Foundation, and they wanted to get connected to a specific high-level individual, and they were really struggling. So what did that person do? They reached out to that person, and then they said, hey, community, can everybody go on and like this post and share this post, or address this person so that it gets enough traffic so that they'll pay attention and look for it, right? That's utilizing your network to help further your goals, right? So how are you going to utilize that? Don't be afraid to ask your connections for resources. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you're looking for someone, create a post. Say, hey, I'm looking for X in your post, and does anybody have a referral for me? Does everybody have a not everything has to be a job post, especially if you're hiring. You know, you don't have to, everything does not have to be a formal job post. You can just say, we're really looking to add some really awesome engineers. Can anybody provide a referral to me? Those are really great tips and strategies to utilize for connecting the right people. Sound good? Are those some useful, applicable tips that we can implement like right now? Put a 1 in the chat if you're like, yeah, Alex, I was already doing all that. Probably, yeah, that's why. Is Adam here like, am I, you know, Adam's like, no, I wasn't doing it, right? Okay, good. Right, so those are practical things you can do right now to advance your mission further. Again, whether you're a candidate, right, whether you're looking to hire, or whether you're looking to build connections, right? Work on deliberately building a network, even if it's just writing out a little bit of a plan on a piece of paper that says, I'm going to connect with 3 people every week. I'm going to follow up with 1 person every week. I'm going to ask for 1 recommendation every week. Doesn't have to be massive, because massive things oftentimes don't get done. Write what you can actually accomplish down and then go from there. Okay. Now let's talk about what I call next level, some things to really, really make it work, right? So if you're job hunting, use LinkedIn's resources, right? So they got a number of resources under the job tab that includes interview tips, assessments, salary ranges, and more. Okay, so we're going to hop in there and we're going to look at that I'm not going to spend maybe a minute or 2 on that, just so people know, and as employers, so you know, right? But that's a great place for people to utilize. Stay active, right? Okay, like, comment, and post at least weekly. Okay, we want to know that you're alive. Nobody likes dead profiles, right? Or, you know, or it's like going to a store, right? And if your store's open and you're selling, right, but your lights are out and you don't see any people moving in there, people think your store is closed, right? Your profile is the same way. So try to stay active at least weekly. You don't have to be posting something 750 times a day or every single day, or, you know, doing all this other kind of stuff, right? If you're deliberately building your network, that should be really easy, because you should be on there weekly, right? But make sure you stay active, even if it's just liking someone's post or making a comment. You don't have to necessarily be posting something. Also, change your photo at least yearly, right? Embrace your face, as I like to say. Change your photo at least every year, because photos get old, people get old. It's okay. If you're older, embrace your wrinkles, is fine, right? You know, update your photo and keep it current, because people will get used to seeing the same photo over and over again. And it's really nice to have a variety of photos. Another tip, if you're a professional, use the photo that you're using on LinkedIn, use it on every other social platform. It helps to build really great brand continuity and also makes it easier to connect. By the way, Google also uses photos as part of their algorithm. So when you type in a person's name, that person's photos will also pop up typically in search. So it's really important to remember, like, oh, you know what, maybe I should actually try to, make this consistent. So people know exactly who they're looking for. That's really, really helpful, especially when people are doing research on you. They want to know if they're connecting with the same person. I mean, the same consistent profile photo is helpful. Other thing, follow the companies you want to work for on LinkedIn, or in business case, work with. Right. So I will follow the companies I want to connect with. I want to get them for a speaker or build a partnership with them or utilize a service or get them to connect with me. Right. Follow those companies. Creating a relationship with an organization is a great way to get an edge on hiring or an edge on connecting, whatever it may be. How many of you guys are following the people that you actually, the company you actually want to connect with? How many people? Put a 1 in the chat if you're like, I'm actively following the organizations that I want to connect with. Okay, a couple people sometimes, right? Right. So that's like very key and specific thing. You cannot know what's going on with those organizations if you do not follow those organizations. So make sure that you are following those organizations. Another thing, publish an article. Articles are seriously underrated, but provide an extra pow to your profile. It's just another place to showcase people where you are and what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Articles can be in a range of different topics, right? They can be range from personal experiences to commentary on what's happening. If you start to write articles, and especially if writing is a strong suit of yours, if you do start to write articles that get even just a little bit of engagement and you can provide perspective, LinkedIn actually has editors that will reach out to you and ask you to comment on other things. So this was one of the things I figured out. Like last year, the year before last, I was like on LinkedIn. I started writing my articles. I don't write very often, but I started writing some articles and got some engagement. And then I noticed consistently LinkedIn continued to reach out to me to comment on other articles. Right. So that helps build authority. So if you're someone on LinkedIn who has authority, that makes it easier to build those connections and make those relationships. And then lastly, share. Be sure to showcase what you're working on, what you've achieved, and the things you're excited about. I always think that's something that we don't do enough is celebrate wins, celebrate accomplishments, we're always waiting till the end project. Like we finally launched a multi-million-dollar X, right? We don't necessarily celebrate the journey or showcase the journey, right? But that can be a powerful experience when it comes to connecting with other individuals online. So share. Now, before I exit my tiny presentation, anybody have any general questions or anything before we move on? You can raise your hand or you can raise your, Adam's got a question, go ahead.
I do have a question. So I've connected with many people over the many years I've had LinkedIn, and I get like hundreds of automated like DMs. And the problem is that the real DMs I want to get or that people send me get lost in this shuffle of garbage. How do we fix this?
Okay, so there are certain ways you can fix that and certain ways you can't fix that. One of them is, some of them are run by LinkedIn, and I don't believe there is a way to strategically remove those, at least not that I have found. There are, when we hop into LinkedIn, there are certain notifications and things that you can set to make that a little bit less annoying, right? Another thing is upgrading your LinkedIn profile, like paying for a higher level profile. They offer other features in there, so there's also pay to play. Not as necessarily as much fun, so that makes it really, really difficult, right? You can also just straight block people. Some people don't want to block people, but I've blocked people. I think that's totally fine, right? If you don't want to see those types of connections come into your thing, because that does become a problem, right? So what happens when people are trying to connect with you and there's a lot of noise and whatnot, right? A little thing that you can do is if people really want to connect with you and they actually care about what it is you're doing, right? You can actually list in your bio the best way to connect with you, right? And I know we're like, Alex, but we're on LinkedIn. Shouldn't this be the place to connect? Absolutely. But there will come a point in time where you have too many connections and it doesn't work that way, right? We have to acknowledge that. That's like getting 4 million followers on Twitter and then saying someone like, hey, how do I get to this particular, right? After you will get to a certain point where it's like, oh, well, there's just too many people in this nonsense and I can't filter through all of it, right? That point in time does come, right? So you need to give people other avenues and ways to connect with you, best way to connect with you. And that could be a website, that could be a scheduling page, that could be, other things. You can even set up a strategic email that will filter certain things out for you, right? But there's just a point where you get so big that it just doesn't work, right? And it gets really, really annoying. And unless you're willing to upgrade and pay certain things, like InMail costs money, right? So if you want to send certain messages to certain people, that costs money, just like advertisers are paying for certain money. This is a particularly difficult area to keep up with because privacy policies and the way people engage with your data is constantly changing. So understand that there's a challenge in keeping this information consistent in terms of being able to regulate how much crap is coming through your inbox, because we're seeing new stuff roll down the pike all the time. But Adam, that's what I would do for you, because I have like a ton, like if I go on my LinkedIn profile, there's like 20, 30 something people just right now that I haven't accepted, connected. I have automated messages. I will either ignore them, delete them, or block them, right? Or you get to a certain point where you have an assistant who just goes click, 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 click. And that way you're only engaging with the fun stuff. Is that helpful for you in order to utilize, or something you feel like, hey, maybe I can do that a little bit?
Yeah, I like the idea of putting, if you really want to connect with me genuinely, here's a way to do it. Otherwise, it's all these automated messages, and you can tell. I don't know, is it copy and paste, like someone's actually doing it, or do they have like a bot or something set up where like as soon as you connect, it like sends out this thing, and then every couple months they keep sending it out?
It's both. It's not necessarily one or the other, right? People have their systems and automated software that will send messages out. So for example, every automated message doesn't necessarily have to come through a standard email marketing software, right? You see those little unsubscribe links at the bottom, right? You can usually tell, it usually says via something. So when those things get sent, it's really kind of easy to kind of filter those out, or Google can filter them out, right? But then you have people who use things like mail merge, right? Which actually sends individual one-on-one emails to inboxes. Those are a little bit more difficult to filter out. Also great to utilize if you want to get something to an inbox and not get filtered out, right? That's important, right? So it is a matter of both. You've got bots that are being utilized and you've got people who are utilizing canned responses, but ultimately it's automated and it's not fun, right? And it gets really, really, really annoying. And so there are strategic cost ways to deal with that. And then they're just strategic, organic ways to deal with that. I feel like LinkedIn is a place where we want to build real connections. So if they're actually interested in connecting with you, they will actually read your bio, and then they will use the preferred method of getting in contact with you so that they can connect. Another thing is to also utilize your other social media profiles, right? If somebody really wants to connect with you, right, then they're going to find out what is the best way to connect with you. So I find that way effective, especially for getting really, really good people. AJ, that's a good comment. I'm lucky. Most automated system can't handle dots in the first names or space in the last name. So all the LinkedIn spam usually shows Dear A or Dear Van, which easily lets me flag it. Yeah, that's a really good thing too, right? If you have like, I notice when I put in things, it's very easy to tell when certain stuff is automated. But if you want to build real connections and people are really looking to connect with you, write it in your profile. And that should also tell you, if you're a person who wants to connect with another person, take the time to read their profile, right? I don't want to connect with someone who isn't even going to take 2 minutes out to read what I'm about. So if you're looking to connect with someone, right, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Everybody agree with that? Can I get a hand clap if you agree with that? Yeah, right. Take the time out, right? If you really want to maximize the network, and this isn't an automated crank machine. Okay. With that being said, let's hop on over to LinkedIn, because again, I want to go back up and get to some of these really specific questions. So that way we can work on answering, again, people's very, very specific needs on LinkedIn and strategies and all that good stuff. I'm just going to pull this stuff over here. All right, everybody should be able to see my profile that also looks like what I'm wearing today, right? I show up like I popped right off the screen there, hair, all that other good stuff, even have the same turtleneck on. All right, so this is LinkedIn, right? This is what everybody's LinkedIn profile will look like. This is the first thing that you will see when you pop up. You've got your feed, you've got a bunch of news, right? You've got all this stuff, right? And all this other kind of stuff. And if you hop on and click your name, you're gonna see your profile and all this stuff you can edit. So one thing is make sure your profile is complete. Again, like all the way complete, whether it's filling out all of your experience, right? Any articles that you have, make sure all of that is complete with good information. Okay, so complete profile. You notice I do have a nice picture. I don't look that good in real life, guys. I photoshopped that, I have to admit, but it looks nice, right? Good picture. Utilize your background cover photo, right? So I have my little background cover photo that I work with, and you can change those things time and time again. All right, your network. If your employer, or your candidate, your job section is going to be incredibly helpful, right? So if you're looking for work, if you have not explored this area, I strongly encourage you to. Right, this is where you can save jobs, job alerts. This is where you can get salary information. You can get skills assessments, do interview prep, even do things with your resume builder and all that kind of stuff. So if you are an employee, these are things that you want to utilize within LinkedIn. If you are an employer, right, these are things that you want to be looking for on when you're vetting additional candidates. If you are an employer, you can use LinkedIn's advertising, right? Or you can use search, right? So suggested job searches. And then you can look for what type, you can put in the job search or search for people based on their keywords and titles about their particular job, right? And that's helpful. Because there were a couple of you that said that you're looking to hire. For the people that said they were looking to hire, how many of you guys are going to use LinkedIn advertising? Will you just raise your hand, say, I'm interested in using LinkedIn advertising? Or put a 1 in the chat if you're interested in using LinkedIn advertising.
It's so expensive though.
It is so expensive. And I found that I have not gotten the best results with LinkedIn. I have found it to be much more favorable to look for candidates based on my network and connections than to actually utilize LinkedIn's, job thingy. And this works really well for small business. If you're a large business, right, they're cranking out, they want their 500 applications a week or whatever, right? Makes a difference, and it's a lot easier for them because they do have great job lists. There's good job listings, right? But as an employer, especially as a small business, right, you're typically not, unless you're going to willing to spend the money, you're typically not going to get the results you want to get. So just keep that in mind. LinkedIn advertising can be really great. LinkedIn jobs can be really great, but it is a bit expensive, and you've got to write your stuff really, really well if you want to see great results. I prefer Indeed. I get great candidates off Indeed all the time, not just for my own company, but also for hiring that I do for other organizations. Okay, let me scroll right back up here and get to some of these questions. Does anybody else, let's put this, Adam, everybody enjoys rage about it, but I find it annoying. Adam, specifically for you, what would you really, really like to have LinkedIn for? I mean, we're on LinkedIn to show you're a professional, but is there any particular way you want to utilize it?
I love getting put on the hot seat.
Yeah, do it. I know you got to bounce soon, so I want to get you hot seat first.
I'm okay. Thank you. I just think in general, people are looking for a job or are not looking for a job, but it's still important to keep your LinkedIn profile up to date, because then you can make connections, people can find you. So like for me, I'm not looking for a job, but I want people to find me through that to maybe partner with Fortis or whatever we're doing. So I think it's still important to be able to have that profile for people to look for it, not when you're just looking for a job or updating your resume or whatever. And then I was thinking about some of the other people, one of the reasons we wanted to do this program was obviously some people got furloughed or laid off during this time or, restructured. Make sure that you have the strongest LinkedIn profile possible. So if there's a debate between you or someone else, you come out as the winner. or if like a position got eliminated and you're looking to get moved up in your own organization, like this is important. So
yeah,
that was
and so
both for me and for everybody.
awesome. So addressing that first part of that is, yes, keep your profile complete, utilize all those tips I just suggested, make sure that it is up to date, and your LinkedIn strategy is going to more closely resemble a marketing strategy for your organization, as opposed to a lot of stuff that's going on in your profile. So that's something important to keep in mind. And we're going to talk about, we're going to hop into company pages here in a minute, right? So as I just showed in our little presentation, right, is to follow the companies that you're interested and engaged with, right? So companies, again, is something that is, again, underutilized, right? It's a great PR place. It's a great place to constantly keep people updated. Like a lot of people like, our company needs more PR. LinkedIn is one of the greatest places to have your company basically get the PR that it wants. It's one of the places where your company can post an article where it's expected because it's under your company page, and where other people can follow, be interested, and engaged. So as an organization, right, if you're looking at different things, part of your strategy should be always engaging in that company page and putting information in that company page if that's what you want to accomplish. Guys, if you don't really care that much about your company page because maybe you're doing whatever it is you want to do, or maybe it's a part of a long-term strategy, that's okay. Because quite frankly, like I don't feel like updating company pages all the time. But now we've hired someone who's going to do that on a regular basis as we launch a brand new PR campaign. Right. So, but it is a great place to figure out what is going on with organizations and where to get an edge. Utilize the company pages for research and also for your own organization. Someone asked what to do about adding new sub-companies. So I'll address that in two ways because James asked that. So maybe your company has programs, or maybe your company has subsidiaries, right? So it could be a program or it could be subsidiary. So if you go into LinkedIn, and I have to always remember where this is because they've moved it, right? So if you click on this little work tab and you scroll to the bottom here, why this is in the most ineffective place, I don't know, right? Here's where you can actually create a company page, right? So who here does not have a company page on LinkedIn? Just throw a 2 in the chat for me real quick if you do not have a LinkedIn company page, or if it's not been updated with any information. Okay, so most everybody has a company page. Now, out of the people that have a company page, how many of you are up? Is it up to date or updated regularly? Throw a 1 in the chat if it's up to date or updated regularly. Okay, so that's something that everybody here who has a company that you can, right, that you can work on utilizing regularly is making sure that you are updating that company page on a regular basis. PR, news announcements, hiring, things you've accomplished, celebrating an employee who's been with your company for 10 years, right? If you are looking to attract candidates, you've got to show what kind of company you are. Right? That's really important. If you are looking to connect with other executives, they want to know what you're up to. I mean, when I go to people's LinkedIn profiles, I'm going through their stuff. I'm trying to figure out if this is a person I want to connect with. That company page is a really great place to do that. Once you create a company page, LinkedIn has what's called sub pages. Right? So sub page, you can create sub pages under your organization that actually have separate URLs, or what they call, I think they were originally called showcase pages. They don't call them showcase pages anymore, right? You can create a showcase page or a separate sub page that will fall underneath your company or your organization. Depending on how you want to structure, how you want people to connect with your organization will determine if you want to create a separate company page or a sub page for your organization. If your company has programs, I recommend sub pages. That way they consistently stay connected. If you're a person who, like me, has more than one business, right? I prefer for those to have individual pages so that I can build individual followings for those particular organizations, individual connections, and individual work and how they show up in search. They'll all show up in search, by the way. So if you go to your company pages, and I'll just click this so everybody knows what people who haven't created a company page know what it's going to look like, right? It's going to look something like this here. They're going to ask if you want to create a small business, right? Showcase page. Those are sub pages again. education, or medium to large business, because they're going to have different features. These take about 15 minutes to fill out and update, and you will be good to go with that. James, does that answer your question? You can just give me a 1 in the chat if it does, or a thumbs up. Or if you have any other expansion on that, you can do that as well. Okay, awesome. Next question or comment. Kevin, you said that you've been doing a social media campaign and it seems really great for salespeople. Did you want to comment on that?
I guess what I meant was, you know, I get hit. I pushed to about, I was told that I want to get at least 500 followers on LinkedIn or 500 connections. And I pushed really hard for that. I think I'm like 480, I think. And then I started hitting the same problems that we were just talking about not too long ago, with just an ungodly amount of spam and people hitting me up. And so then I went on a campaign of, you know what, if I haven't spoken to that person, they're not a connection, right? If they're not someone either I haven't spoken to or someone I want to speak to, then they're getting nixed. And so I went down that. So I'm at like 466 right now. And I've cut down on all the spam for the most part. And then also just telling people, stop sending me spam. And then they stop. It's crazy.
I know, right? Legally, they have to. Otherwise, you can technically sue them.
Harassment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Bianca and I went and kind of did a little pseudo social media campaign. I want to say I think it was year before last year. Didn't get a lot of traction on it. But at the same time, I didn't really know what response I was expecting to get. So for the most part now, I'm just using it to connect to other managed service providers, IT companies, passively, to just kind of, you know, do the McDonald's thing where just keep sending them pictures of hamburgers so that they remember that I exist for the time when they need and they're hungry.
Yeah.
So don't really utilize anywhere beyond that.
And that's important, right? It all goes back down to, what are you trying to accomplish, right? A lot of these things boil down to very specific LinkedIn strategy, right? So social media campaigns are a great way to build awareness or, you know, connect. A lot of people think social media, think I got to run Facebook or Twitter, and LinkedIn often gets left out. But LinkedIn is actually a really great place to run social campaigns because it's a professional place with significantly less vitriol and craziness, right, than you would find on Facebook. Last month, or the last day of last month, we ran a really awesome video campaign for Black History Month. And we did 28 stories for 28 days, right? And those are actively being, the videos are on YouTube, but they're actively being shared on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is one of the primary places that they're being pushed. And that is one of the primary places that's directing that, where a lot of that traffic is coming from for these videos. And it happens to be one of the most popular video campaigns that has been run for the COS chamber. So, you know, these are really great ways to get engaged and brings the right type of connections. As Kevin said, you don't have to connect with everybody. You don't have to answer every connection. You can block people, you can remove people, right? And even those things in and of themselves help to remove some of the spam, right? Because people are, again, looking for certain things in profiles to get those covered. So I think that is really, really great. Okay, going back up here. Okay, so subpages, social media, how to represent your business to get views and engagement. That's a long form strategy one, but I will give you the short answer. First, be on there, right? Actually be on LinkedIn. Be sharing information on LinkedIn. Be connecting with people on LinkedIn. Ask people to share the stuff you have on LinkedIn. Every time I get a message from somebody in my close section and they tell me to share something, I share it, right? That then exposes people, whatever that, you know, whatever it is they're doing, to the social media campaign. This is kind of no different in many ways than Facebook or Twitter, except it's actually a lot easier to do, right? We've got 25 individual amazing people on this thing, right? I can send a message individually to each one of you and say, hey, we are doing X. Can you share this, right? So a great way to represent your business is to, one, as I've said over and over again, be on brand and show people who you are. Show them what you're working on. Show them what you're doing. Showcase your values. Say what you're experiencing. Highlight your employees. Bring what you're doing on the company on the inside to the outside and do it authentically, right? Authenticity is key, right? Because if you are an attractive company, you will naturally attract people. Mailer Lite, they do an awesome job of this. I'm always like, oh man, I love what they're doing at that company, right? They're they're part of the larger conglomerate, the remote companies. They own like 7 companies. It's a multi-million-dollar global corporation. But I was like, oh man, I love what it is they're doing. So I'm constantly trying to get a little bit more of their content. Or even on the retail side, my husband and I love Wolf and Shepherd. They sell really expensive, nice men's shoes that are like fancy but comfortable, right? And I always love what I see that they're doing here and there. I'm like, oh, that's really, really awesome, because they let their company's brand and values come to the forefront. If your brand is not at the forefront of everything that you're doing, if you're not showing people who you are and what you're working on, it makes it really hard for people to gauge what kind of company you are, right? A lot of people think that's not newsworthy. That's not shareworthy. I only need to share something if I accomplish something. That's not the case. Be a place where you can actually start conversations. Be a place where you can highlight things that are going on in your industry. Be a place where you can just comment on anything. If you have an industry, right, and you're like hospitality, right? There's a lot of movement in the hospitality industry right now because of COVID and a lot of other crazy stuff, right? Add your thoughts, add your commentary. If you notice other companies not doing good things, reassure people in your field that you're not that type of organization, right? Say, hey, I see a lot of people getting laid off. Our company is strategically focused on keeping people employed in work, and we're still hiring. Join our team. We got great people here. And then how do you validate that? They can look at everything that you're doing, right? So the first thing you got to do is make yourself look good. That's the first place you start. If you want to engage people, make yourself look good. Okay. And if you want to get more views and get more engagement, if you make yourself look good by default, that will automatically increase how well you do. This is the same, like even when you update all your social media profiles and all of them become consistent and you post once a week, even if it's just a Monday motivation, you naturally increase engagement because 1, that algorithm has connected all your stuff. 2, you actually look more professional. And 3, people might actually see what it is you're doing. Okay. So first up, make yourself look good. 2, engage with people and actually ask them to share your stuff. People never do that. They're never like, hey, share my post. They get on and they say, and they post something and then they just expect people to share it. It doesn't work like that, right? Ask people to share your material. It really helps. Adam, you've done that with me when you guys are doing stuff at Fortis. You're like, hey, can you share this? I'm like, sure. Great stuff going on here, right? Gets the message out and to do more. Okay. So excellent question, Susan. Did I answer that for you thoroughly enough in the at least the content of this workshop?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome. Perfect.
And I think that helps you, because remember, all of our networks are like a Venn diagram, right?
Mhm.
So my circle's here, Alex's overlaps, but she's got a whole piece that I have no connection to. Now she shares for me. I'm reaching people I wouldn't have before, and who knows, it just goes exponential from there. And you do the same with, all you have to do is ask, and maybe you ask 10 people and 2 do it. Well, that's 2 more circles you wouldn't normally have gotten. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I get the best results. I know, again, this changes based on scale, right? If you're an individual versus a 500 employee corporation, the way you're going to have to engage does change, right? But right now, most of us are small business owners or working in a small business organization, or even if you're a company that has like 100 employees, a lot of times you only have 5 to 10 staff working on this aspect of marketing, right? So just because your company has 100 people doesn't mean it's like you've got 100 people necessarily working in this area, right? So you may only have 5 to 10 people. You may represent a large corporation, but your particular location only has 5 people that are working on one particular area. And I've always had the most success doing organic connections and building basically essentially like a fan base for people. So that's really, really important, because I get access to people that people are like, well, how'd you get access to that person? How'd you get access to that CEO? Why is that CEO following you on Twitter, right? I know they're following thousands of people, but they have 7 million followers and they're following only 15,000 people. And when you look at percentages, being one of the 15,000 is actually pretty darn good in many cases, right? How did you make that happen? How did you get these connections, right? It started by one, looking awesome, and two, working on trying to build authentic relationships with people, right? Liking, commenting, posting, sharing, following the people you actually want to be connected with. Vanessa, you asked about proper etiquette. Can you expand a little bit on that, on what you mean when you say proper etiquette? You want to learn about proper etiquette on LinkedIn.
I guess I wondered like how to properly outreach to prospects or businesses, something of that sort.
Okay, so if you are like, you don't know a business organization and you want to know that business organization, is that kind of what you're getting at? How to connect with them?
Yeah.
You don't know them, you want to connect with them?
I send a lot of intros, but I don't get a lot of response. So I just wondered if maybe you had some additional advice.
Yes, a lot of people don't like cold, right? I don't like cold. Nobody likes cold, right? People have a finite amount of time. And a lot of times the sales intros that are taught do not yield the results that people want unless done in significant mass, right? So if you're like, I have 100 new leads this week, they probably sent out like 10,000 emails, right? To a bunch of cold, and they may get the numbers they want, but they've done it by annoying 10,000 people like Adam and Kevin and Kathleen and myself with automated messages and whatnot, right? So the best thing you can do to get that connection is to not be so cold, right? So if you have a business or organization that you want to connect with, follow their company, engage with their post. Another simple way is to make a comment and ask a question that requires them to respond. So if you have an organization that hops on LinkedIn and does a post, you know, it goes a long way if you leave a comment like, yeah, this is awesome. But then you also write, you know, that is so interesting that you went out and did that. I really love the way you worked at that. How did you accomplish that? Right? So you can send an email in, you know, a minute or two and then get no response, or you can comment on a person's post and get more response, right? The second you comment on someone's post, right, is the second and they respond, then you were no longer cold, right? So a lot of people are like, how do I send that first email? Maybe don't send that first email, right? And I'm giving you this in a general spread, right? I'm not looking at your company, your brand, and your overall marketing strategy. So, you know, you have to take as much of this as you can within that perspective, right? Because I might go back and say, oh, what are you doing? And this is how you're doing. And maybe you need to do this first, right? Because if your company sucks, right? I don't know what business you're with, right? But if your company sucks, I'd be telling you, you know, clean up your business before you even start reaching out to people, right? Maybe you need to fix these other 10 things, because maybe the reason people are rejecting your invitations is not necessarily have anything to do with you or your profile. It might be something underlying going on. Right? So don't assume that just because people aren't responding doesn't mean they don't want to engage with you. There could be other factors that are contributing to that. Right? But the easiest way is always, if you're taking the time, if you can send individual emails, you most certainly can leave individual comments, right? Start building those trails of engagement, right? Comment on those posts. Find those mutual connections that you're working with, right? And also ask for an introduction, right? So you have your mutual connections, right? If there's someone in that network that knows that person, ask for an introduction, right? See, because it comes much different if a connection says, hey, my friend Vanessa would love to connect with you about such and such. Are you open to talking with her for a few minutes? Right? That is a lot easier than cold email from, you know, John Smith or Sally Smith, right? So that is a better way to approach that. Again, with me not having as much information about your business, try commenting and asking people questions to get them to engage with you first, then build those connections. The second thing is ask people to make the connection for you if you have the connection, because the organic connections will far outlast the cold connections. Is that helpful for you, Vanessa?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, good. Like I said, I want a lot of time to answer people's very specific LinkedIn questions so that they can do that. Okay, Keisha said, I'm interested in identifying potential corporate connections because I'm moving in that direction. What would be the best way to search and segment? So good question. And I don't know exactly what type of corporate connections you're looking to make. So I need to know just even a little bit more information about that. But the best way to start making good corporate connections is to ask your network who you should be connecting with, right? So you know your business better than anyone else, right? And you have a network of people that you know, like, and trust. Go to your network and ask them, say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm working on. This is what I would like to do. Who do you think I should be connecting with? Who's a great connection for me, right? We do this with referrals, but sometimes we don't necessarily, when there's not an immediate transaction involved, right? And when I say transaction, I don't just mean monetary. I just mean when there's an exchange is going to come down the line, whether that be getting someone to speak for your organization, or acquiring a volunteer, or making a long-term sale, or getting a contract or a partnership, right? When there's a transaction that's going to occur, down the line somewhere, you want to look at your network and how you can build that bridge and build that gap, and see who you're looking and who's going to be a good referral for you, because it's still just like referrals. It's just, you have a different outcome. It just might not be immediately monetary in that respect. So a good way to get those corporate connections is to first start with your network and say, okay, this is who I'm looking to connect with, or these are the type of people I'd like to connect with. Can you make a recommendation for me? Okay. The other thing is, when you're going to search and segment, right? There's a lot of different people. Start with the companies first, right? Start with the companies you'd like to work with, because LinkedIn is also going to suggest other companies in that industry, or other companies in your area. Geographically, searching wise is an easier way, right? Because in search you can add, different parameters. And I still have, I think, yeah. So I got my, you have your search bar up here, right? So if you, type in, and look, there's Adam, right? If you type in who you're looking for, right? And I'll say, Adam, you're a spotlight guy today, Adam. Always in my stuff, right? If I'm searching for Adam Jacobs, right? There's different stuff that's gonna come up, but right, you can segment, think people, companies, posts, groups, jobs, all that kind of stuff, right? Sort by company first. Start with companies in that industry. Start with keywords. Start with companies from your industry, and see what else you get. But the very first place I would start is the people in your circle, because those people are going to know the type of person you are, and the type of person that you would like to connect with, and the type of person you would like to do business with. And then if your circle is tapped out, then you can move on to the next strategy. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Good. And y'all, if it doesn't help, you can say no. I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but my job is to be as helpful as possible for your specific needs. So if you're like, it helps a little bit, but I need more, then we can, have a bit of an offline conversation. Vanessa's best use. There isn't necessarily a best use, because as I said at the beginning, what are you looking to accomplish, right? What are you looking to accomplish? What is your brand? What is your personality? What is your type to make that happen, right? And now I see, you see corporate consulting. I see that now down here, Keisha. Yeah, so I would start again. So I would still start with your network, and then start with companies themselves, and then geographically segmented, so that you know who is in your area, and then matching those, again, looking at those mutual connections. Okay, good. So let's pull down here. Everybody's saying good advice. Good. This is why I'm here. I'm here to help y'all. Let's see. How do you find your linked link to share people? That is a great question, right? So how do you find where your LinkedIn profile link is, right? So if you click on your name, the easiest way is this is right up here in the browser window. So that is a great way. It shows you what your handle is. And if you notice over here, you should see edit public profile and URL. Okay, so if you click on that, it'll say edit my public profile and URL, right? And you can then change your custom URL here, right? You can also edit your content visibility, right? All the stuff, you can put that in there. And then again, you can segment stuff that's shown and not shown in your profile, right? What details you want to show, what details do you not want to show, all that good stuff. But yes, that is where you would find your URL. But of course, if you just click on your name itself, right? If you just click on your name, it'll be up right here. Everybody's LinkedIn profile is linkedin.com/in/ whatever you have decided it to be. You're welcome, Keisha. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Yeah, so that's where you find it, and you can change it. If it is a company page, it will say LinkedIn/company/ whatever your company name is. Keep in mind, on your company pages, you can have a name that has a dash or not a dash, right? So when you're putting all your social media profiles together, keep that in consideration when you're wanting to create some consistency. Sometimes it's good not to have dashes in your LinkedIn profile company name, because it allows those things to be easier found, right? Because they're looking at that collection of words. And it also just makes for less space and less characters. So that's something else to consider. Okay, what other questions, very specific questions, does anybody have that I can address for you while we're still here? And if, for the people that are left here, if you found like you have something that you can take away and implement, can you just throw 1 in the chat so that I can say, yes, I've assisted these people in a good manner. Okay, good. I need to make sure. I hate attending workshops where you waste your time, you don't take away anything that you can actually implement, right? And if there's something specific you want to implement, please, I'll share my information at the end of this presentation. Kathleen will share my information as well. And you can ask me directly about how do I do X, and I will give you a quick tip on that. And if you want further, then we can go further. Other than that, I'm gonna pop back in here and I'm gonna give you guys one last tidbit of really great information, okay?
Alex, can I ask you a question? It's Geeta.
Absolutely, Geeta.
So here's my question. Just to remain relevant on LinkedIn, but at a minimum, what is the best way to look good but do little? Stay relevant.
And I get that, right? Because I always, when I tell people on social media, I said, you don't have to be on every social media platform. Like, I have all my handles and stuff reserved for brand authenticity, and so that way nobody's infringing on our material, right? But it's not one of these things where it's like, hey, you necessarily want to be on all the time. So what I recommend is 2 to 3 times a month, make a post, right? Because make a post 2 to 3 times a month, make a post or share a post, right? So a lot of times you don't have to share anything. You can just share other people's stuff. People love that, like, right? Because you're less about promoting you and more about promoting them, right? Hop on and share something. So you could literally dedicate like 5 minutes a month, literally, to hop on LinkedIn, right? Share one post. If you don't have anything to share, totally cool. Share someone else's post, right? Share someone else's post, like or comment. That one will keep you relevant, right? Especially in the algorithm, but it shows up in your activity feed, right? So when you're liking and commenting, people, that actually shows up underneath your profile, people can see that. Now you can turn that off. Like, people don't have to see all of your activity in your feed, but that is a great way to keep the minimum. So again, updating your picture, like I said, at least yearly, right? Updating your picture, right? Making sure your profile is 100% complete, that you filled in your tagline, your bio, your companies are up to date, right? All of your descriptions are nice and clean and up to date, utilizing information. And then maybe you come in and you maybe spend, I'll say 2 minutes a week, get on LinkedIn, share a post, and leave a comment once a week. It's maximum 10 minutes a month, right? And that's enough to keep you relevant, essentially, like, at least for a person like me to think, okay, you're not dead. Like, you're involved, you're doing something, but you're just not a crazy on LinkedIn all the time. Because I'm not doing crazy stuff on LinkedIn all the time, right? I'm very strategically on there for what I need. So that's a good way to say, I'm here, I'm present, but I'm here for professional reasons, and so that y'all know I'm alive, because this is a great way for businesses to, again, create that authenticity and authority, and that's why I'm here. So awesome. All right. Last final tip. As I always say, maven it up. You're very welcome, Geeta. You're wonderful. Maven it up. 1, always keep your brand at the forefront. I think I've said that 750 million times, but keep it at the forefront. And if you don't know what that is, reach out to me and I will help you figure that out, right? Don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't be afraid to have fun on your LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to make jokes. Don't be afraid to share about your family. Don't be afraid to, make it personal, right? You want to, again, what do you want to tell people? Right? So if you want people to know about you, don't be afraid to show what it is about you. My LinkedIn profile says I am a professional napper. It's a little bit further down, but it says I love chicken wings and I'm a professional napper and I have 3 kids as well as a bunch of other stuff, right? I always say, get your Hollywood half done. And what I mean by that is when you're on LinkedIn, especially when you're talking to people and you're going to have conferences, make sure you look good, at least from the waist up, right? Especially if you're a candidate and you're interviewing, right? Make sure all of this looks good. Okay, really important. And be creative. I mean, we only had an hour and a half and there's so much more stuff that I would love to cover that I couldn't even get in this entire, in this presentation because we only had an hour and a half. And I want to give you guys the most value, and the most value comes with me being able to strategically answer very specific questions for you. So I allotted a lot of time for that, right? But don't be afraid to be creative. There are so many other ways that can be utilized in LinkedIn that are fun and exciting and helpful, right? So if you're like, hey, I wonder about this, feel free to try it. Think outside the box. Run a social media campaign on LinkedIn. Utilize a professional funny post. Share something interesting with your network. Don't be afraid to be creative in all you do. And whatever you do, try to do it with excellence. Try to put your best foot forward. You will not always win with that. You will fall flat on your face many times. It is okay. I fall flat on my face, probably daily. Just get back up. Just get back up. No sweat. It's not the end of the world. If you didn't make the connection you want, it's not the end of the world. If you made somebody upset, it's not the end of the world. You've just got to keep moving on, right? Keep going, keep pushing forward. Okay. That's really, really important. Just try to put your best foot forward. And when you don't, let it go. Just let it go and be all right. Just keep it moving. All right. Any final questions? Otherwise, prizes, anyone? Right? Yeah, y'all are good. See, y'all stayed to the last. We got 2 minutes. I got just enough time to get out a prize, right? And oh, I'm so glad and that you found that very, very helpful, right? It is important. It is effective. It is useful. Okay, so this is how we do this. We have a $10 Amazon gift card. If you happen to not be for Amazon, I will swap it for a $10 gift card of your choice. If you're like, I don't buy from Amazon. Some people have a way. It's totally fine. I buy everything off Amazon, and I notice a lot of people do. All right, so $10 Amazon gift card is on the table, or $10 to whatever you would like that is not Amazon that I can send digitally. How we play this game? Enter a number between 1 and 100 in the chat. The closest wins, right? If 2 people, like let's say the number is 25, it's not 25. Wait, don't guess yet, Susan, right? The number is not 25, right? If the number is 25, right? And somebody guesses like 26 and the other person guesses like 24, the higher number wins, just so you know, right? So Susan, you can keep on guessing. That's fine. I just want to make sure. Susan, I really want to win. I really want to win. Okay. All right. Everybody put your numbers in the chat between 1 and 100. Closest wins. Okay. 77, 19, 72. Okay. 18. Keep it coming. 35, 66. Give you 10 more seconds. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. All right. Everybody ready? You ready? Can I get a drum roll, please? Right. The winning number is 71. There were quite a few 70s in there. Who is it? Victoria, where are you? On my screen. It's like, that's the whole problem looking at a screen with like 15 people. There you are. Okay, Victoria, you are the winner. Woohoo! Everybody, yeah, virtual, I would say virtual hand clap, but it's just a hand clap that's on the screen, right? All right. So Victoria, you are the winner. If you will DM me your email on where I can send that, that would be fantastic. And I will get that to you within 24 hours. Congrats. Thank you for playing. Again, if you guys have any additional questions, you can find me at findamaven.com. All my social media is at Find the Maven. You can email me at alex@findamaven.com. It's the best way to email me. So a lot of you already have my email, alex@allmaven.agency. I have separated that as to only be work. All right. So to split stuff away from employees and business partners and stuff, right? So if you want to talk to me, non-necessarily work related, just want to connect, Alex at findmaven.com. Thank you, Victoria. Other than that, we are done. 2 o'clock. I'm good. Or 1 o'clock. I'm an hour ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex. I mean, and so everybody knows too, I typed in there, we recorded this, and I'll be sending out the recording because I know Alex did an amazing job covering a lot too, where it's hard to get all the notes. So you guys, I'll be emailing that out after I do a ribbon cutting really quick. So you'll get that. And yeah, and please, we'll do a little survey too to see maybe what other interests are too, and look forward to doing more events. And as this was combined with Oceanside too, Hannah, are you still there available? I wanted to introduce you. You're muted. Oh, no. Okay. Well, we maybe do. Oh, Hannah.
There she goes.
Hello.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, I'm
Hannah,
still here.
there you are. Okay. Hannah, this is Hannah from the Oceanside Chamber. And I just wanted to give you a minute to say hi too and announce anything you guys have going on as well.
So yeah, hi, my name is Anna Diaz. I'm with Stellar Solar. If you guys don't know who we are actually the oldest solar contractor here in San Diego. We're actually celebrating 23 years in 2021. We try to be involved in the community. But I guess,
I'm so
what
sorry.
did you have?
Hop in because I was meaning to have Hannah.
I was
I said Anna.
And I was like, wait, did I say something? Okay. So you guys have names.
Okay, go ahead.
No, but thank you for introducing yourself too. It's good to see you again.
I thought you said Anna.
I'm so sorry. We're joined with Hannah, so I want to let Hannah do too a little quick intro and.
All right.
Hannah, we can't hear you now.
No.
So it says you're
You
unmuted.
can hear me.
Okay, now we can hear you. Good.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I had my mic muted and stuff. I have dogs, so I didn't want to interrupt ever. But your presentation was fantastic. Thank you so much. I apologize. I joined a couple minutes late today. Has been jam-packed with meetings, but like I said, the information was fabulous. I'm definitely going to be taking some of that in. So yeah, thank you. Thank you to the Carlsbad Chamber for including us, and we're getting more details on that resume workshop coming here pretty soon. So we'll have that ready for you guys. And yeah, like I said, just thank you so much. I appreciated everything.
Oh, great. Thank you so much too for being here. And we look forward to partnering up and doing more together. And Alex, can't say thank you enough. I mean, every time Alex has been doing workshops for us for many years, as long as I've been here, and I believe before I got here. And somehow they're even better every time. And so super grateful, even though you're in Colorado, Zoom allows you to be here.
Yeah. I sneak into California at times. I literally was there like last week. I snuck in and I snuck out, right? So yeah, I'm happy to be here. And yes, ever since I moved, I've been able to do more at the chamber. Shouldn't really work that way necessarily, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. Always happy to volunteer my time, share my professional insight, and help advance everybody's business goals and objectives. And as long as I'm doing that, I am very much a happy camper.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. And I'll be sending an email to everybody here shortly with the follow-up. And if anybody needs anything, just let me know. I'm happy to help. Kathleen@carlsbad.org. Otherwise, hope you guys have a great, it's Thursday, so it's almost happy almost weekend.
Almost weekend. And Victoria, I will send you your Amazon gift card.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex.
You're welcome. Bye, y'all. See you later.
Thank you guys.